Hello and welcome back to the Hearts Wide Open podcast, where we talk about men's mental health and well-being. My name is Dennis, and as always, we're here with Mr.
What's my name?
What's your name? Soroosh. Soroosh. He told me that he likes the nickname Sushi.
No, that is not correct. I do not like the nickname, but also I could never find the easy nickname for myself. That it's just understandable. So sometimes just stick with sushi because everybody likes sushi. I hope so.
My mom doesn't like sushi.
Okay, well,
backfired.
Yet.
I'm still trying.
But I hope your mom likes me.
She said
Neutral.
Decent.
I'm decent. Okay, according to Dennis's mom, I'm decent. I'm okay.
Oh no, my parents love you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so it's been a while since we've been recording here.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we served you another episode, a special episode, and we also had a extra week in between since we post a new episode every second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
And the last month had an extra week, which gave us extra time.
Mm-hmm.
But some of you have also been waiting and asking, where's the next episode?
Yeah.
So we're very curious, and we're still figuring out a lot of things like how often should we post new episodes, etc. So you will see some polls on our Instagram channel where we'll be asking you how often you listen to podcasts, for example, or other questions about your about your preferences when it comes to listening to podcasts, just so that we can really serve you content that fits your schedule and your preferences.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Some other things that changed. First of all, the first time we're not recording during the day, so maybe the light is a bit different.
It's not. I think the lighting is changing overall because the season we are entering fall from summer, and in Netherlands the sun is almost what time is it right now? It's 8:30. It's almost already dark. Yeah. Comparison to beginning of summer.
Yeah, and like last time we recorded at this time, it was still super bright outside.
Well, but what we are recording doesn't matter. If it's dark or light, we're here.
We're here, exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't have a studio yet where we can control the light 100%, but we might get there. Let's see.
We hopefully get there.
So yeah, for everyone who's curious and for people who are watching on YouTube, we have a whole window front over here, so that's why we're really impacted by the light conditions. And weather today and also this week has been amazing. Last week someone told me, hey, I'm not ready for this summer to be finished, but then immediately a week later we get another week of hot temperatures.
It's amazing in Netherlands. If you're listening from somewhere else, we're struggling with the weather here. So you really have 2 weeks of summer, and it's mostly cloudy all the time. So when it's sunny and 25 to 30 degrees, everybody's out there.
Today, since it's been a while, we wanted to talk about what's been going on this summer and give you a small update. So Soroosh, what have you been up to in the past 6 to 8 weeks this summer?
6 to 8 weeks. It's a good question. It really went by very fast. Mm-hmm. I remember, I think the last episode we recorded was before my holidays. And I was very busy with work, and I told you we wanted to record, but I said I really need some personal time because I just wanted to go on holidays with a clean mind. What has been happening?
Where did you go on holidays?
I went to a music festival in Belgium. It's called Pukkelpop, with a friend of mine. And after that, I came back for a few days. I was here, and then I went to Turkey with my parents. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff happened.
A
lot of ups and downs.
Okay.
That if you want, we can talk about those.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't. We can from the beginning.
Yeah. We can start from Pukkelpop.
So you went to the festival like with a friend of yours?
Yeah. I went with a friend of mine, and I was really looking forward to it, because last year I also went to another great festival, Siget, which was partying for 7 days. It was a little bit too much, but we really had a good time.
Yeah. So this one was techno?
It's a mix of everything. It's like a big festival for 4 days, and basically you get, I think, 5-6 stages. You have mainstream music. You have like, there were famous artists, Billie Eilish,
okay,
Youngblood,
All right.
And you also have techno, you have some alternative music, you had rock music. Basically every kind of music was there. A lot of Dutch and Flemish and a little bit of French music since it was in Belgium, which makes sense. But I was really looking forward to it. We went there with my friends. At the beginning it was very difficult because we had to wait so much in line to set our tent. And it was like you had to fight for a spot.
Yeah, it's always like this, man.
And we were there even early.
Yeah.
And we were just fighting for our spot. And I was very chill. I was like, dude, it's okay. Worst case, we get a few meters back in the spot.
It's really a war, huh?
It was a war, man. Yeah. And it was so fucking tightly packed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was putting my tent on, there was this Belgian girl who was speaking French. She was so pissed, so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, merci, you're putting my tent in your tent. And I literally was like, hey, chill. I was like, listen, we are neighbors for the next 4 days, and you're very stressed. And at the end, we figured it out, but it was quite far, to be fair. Every time we wanted to go to the festival, it was a legit 20 minutes walk to go.
Oh, wow.
And 20 minutes to come back. And then also in the festival, you go from stages to stages in another 20, 30 minutes. And overall, in those 4 days, I think according to my phone, we walked around average 30,000 steps per day. Well, that's including dancing and everything.
Dancing is a big part as well.
But it's a lot, man. In 4 days.
Yeah.
120,000 steps. But it was fun. Yeah. It was fun. We had fun with the music.
What was your favorite part of the festival?
The favorite part of the festival? Like the favorite section of... There was a lot of Fred again. Mixed with techno.
Okay.
That I really enjoyed. And next week we are also going to a Fred again show, by the way, with Dennis.
Yes.
And that I really enjoyed. The last night I just talked with a very random stranger. She told me her entire life story. That was also interesting. The moment I had with my friend, we had some deep conversation. That was pretty interesting for me. The music was very good in some stages. For example, I really also liked the ending of Billie Eilish. The music was okay. It was a little bit mediocre because I had maybe high expectations. But then at the end, they had this huge firework and ended with like just such a ending. It was a really beautiful ending, and that was for me was very interesting. My boss was also there, by the way. I also met with him. He's very cool, and we had some beers. Overall, it was fun. It also had some down moments. Not down moments, but there were things that I remember I was not fully satisfied with. For example, festival-wise, you had to wait every morning 40 minutes, 1 hour for the shower. It's quite typical festival.
Yeah.
And it was very loud. On those 4 days, I never had a silent moment. And I felt a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest. Yeah. Sometimes I felt like, okay, can I just have a moment for myself? And you really don't get a lot of those moments. Yeah. And
because music, like normally music has this effect on you, right? I mean, it's kind of also therapeutic in a way for you.
It is therapeutic, but I feel like not for 4 days. It's not very therapeutic. And something that I also remember, that it was a very Belgian festival.
Yeah.
Like almost 95% were Belgian and very young, like under 20 years old.
Okay.
16-year-old, 18-year-old.
Oh, is that even allowed?
I think so.
Okay.
I think you should be minimum 16 to get in, something like that. So those were a little bit overwhelming, some of those stuff. But yeah, still I think about it. Maybe I went there with the expectation of recreating what I had last year. And this is never good. I always have this. Try to walk into things without expectations, but at the end you have expectations, and sometimes it's also an internal battle of how I face something, like it is my first time.
Yeah.
It's still difficult for me. And
So
besides,
did those expectations in the end impact your experience negatively then, would you say? Or or what were your expectations? Just to have the same experience as last time?
maybe, yeah. But then I came to myself. I was like, look at this as a new experience, as a different experience, and try to enjoy where you are. And it got better. Something that bothered me a little bit was that I was also there to really spend time with my friend as well. And also, of course, meet new people. But I was looking forward to spending time with my friend and not being on our phone. But I get it. He was sometimes on his phone, and he had, let's say, other priorities.
Okay.
Which I get it. Maybe wasn't aligned with my priorities.
Okay.
And, but yeah, I don't know if this is too much to ask. Maybe everybody has their own thing to be happy, and maybe I should have communicated with him sooner. That at the end I told him that we are here. Well, I'm here to spend time with you and enjoy the music. And he was very listening, and he understood. He wished I told him sooner. And after I told him, he was actually much more present. And this was, I think, for us was such like a bonding moment that I wish I knew about this sooner, that you told me this bothers you. And then I would have done something about it. And so that was the festival experience briefly.
That's so interesting that like I think this happened to me as well a lot of times, that I was like bothered by something over a period of time, and I didn't voice like I didn't voice myself, or I didn't make myself clear that something is bothering me. And then I just went on, and it just made me like, it bothered me more and more. And then once I actually address it, or we talk about it, it's just like poof, it's gone. A lot of times, like, because then I emptied myself, and then the other person can see what was inside me. And if it's not something super out of the box and super like foreign to this person, then most of the time they meet this with understanding. And
indeed. And at least
so
you talk about it.
At
least you talk about it.
Communication can solve so many things. And fair communication.
Fair communication, that is true. Always true. But at the end I had fun. I'm not sure if I will go to Pukkelpop again. So I actually got interviewed, and it was very hot. I was literally dying. You couldn't sleep more than 9 a.m. in the tent, because it became like a sauna. And we went to the festival. I had a cocktail, hiding in the shadows, and this lady came with the microphone, and he was like, are there enough shadows in the festival? And I was like, well, obviously you see me hiding here. So the answer is no. What do you want me to say? I was like, what do you want Pukkelpop to do? I was like, maybe put more roof on it's not that difficult. Plant more trees up there. But to their advantage, Pukkelpop really had a good organization. Compared to Siget that I went last year, everything was designed for something. Like, you really never waited so much long to get drinks. There were a lot of bathrooms. The stages were well organized. It was well cooled. And only problem were shadows, in my opinion. And it was grass. Everywhere were grass. They actually planted grass for the entire festival. Well, by the last day, there was no grass. It was mud. But it was impressive, to be fair. And I came back really looking to just spend some time with myself. To just recharge and reflect.
I can imagine that such a festival takes a lot of energy as well, while it probably also gives you a lot of energy while it's happening. But the body's normally super exhausted after, right? Nice. All right. So after that, you took some time to rest and recharge.
Yes.
Then you went on another holiday. this time not to a festival.
No. This one was more relaxing. So I was supposed to meet my family in Turkey. I haven't met them in a year.
Wow.
So I was also looking forward to that, really. Not a good start to the holiday. The thing is, well, I'm being Iranian, naturally not a good planner.
Yeah,
Right,
Iranians
like-
are known to be very shitty Well, actually,
Listen to me. We live life by the moment. We are not shitty planners. If I call my friends right
Yeah.
now, say, hey, let's go out for drinks in 1 hour, they will be out for drinks in 1 hour.
Someone will
Someone will be there.
go.
That's the thing. And I really like that about my Iranian friends. And in Netherlands, you have to book someone at advance in 2 weeks for 7 to 8 p.m., not more, because they have another plan there. But I have become a little bit of Dutch, living here for 5 years.
A little bit of Dutch.
Yeah, but
okay, fair.
I lived here for 5 years. You cannot live without scheduling.
No, otherwise you're living in a parallel
Yeah.
society. Yeah.
And I told my parents that, okay, what time do you want to go there? They couldn't tell me the time 2 weeks before.
To meet in Turkey.
Meet in Turkey. What days do you want to go
2
there?
weeks in advance.
2 weeks in advance. They couldn't let me before that. I was like, guys, I have to take holidays from work. I have to ask people. I
Yeah.
have to book flights. It's expensive. At the end, they gave me an estimate 1 month before, courtesy of them.
Okay.
Estimate, not the actual.
Oh, that
date.
was an estimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I bought the tickets 1 week before the festival.
Mm-hmm.
My dad calls me. So yeah, change of plans.
We're not going to Turkey or what?
No. Turkey was the only option, to
Okay.
be fair. It's like, yeah, change of plan. Instead of Saturday, we're going on Friday because there's no flight from there. And I checked the flights. It was very expensive, double the price. I bought a new flights from Amsterdam to Turkey, the places that I went to. And I was like, okay, since they came 1 day earlier, they would have leave 1 day earlier. So I stayed there technically 8 days. The last day I didn't have the hotel because we stayed in a good hotel, and I didn't have the money to stay in that hotel. My parents pay for it, so I booked the Airbnb for a much cheaper price, for like €50 per night for the last day. Plus, so Airbnb plus a flight from Amsterdam to the place. It still costs a lot of money. The night of the flight, I got very sick.
To go back.
No, from Amsterdam to
to
Turkey.
Yeah.
My flight was at 5 a.m. I woke up to fever at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I was fucked up. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna make
yeah,
this.
you told me you were getting sick. Before you left.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know what, Soroosh, pull your shit together. You're getting on this plane. So very hardly I get my shit together. I get to the airport, wait in the line. I was feeling very bad, honestly. I don't know how I went there. And I get in the line. They're like, oh, we cannot board you on the flight. This ticket is not sellable.
Whatever that means.
For whatever reason, yeah.
Okay.
This ticket is not sellable. And this is from Transavia, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this.
Give them some money
Very
back.
money, yeah. So yeah, I went home actually. Also a little bit happy because I was feeling terrible. And imagine I had to pay for Uber also. From the home to the airport to
back.
there. I flew with my original flight the next day. It was fun. The time with my family there was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I will go to the end of how I came back.
Okay.
Then I can also talk about what happened in the middle.
Yeah.
And the last day, well, my parents and my brother left on Thursday. I still had the extra day on Friday. First thing is that I get to the Airbnb. It was very hot. I stayed in the balcony, and I called a friend of mine, and then we were just like talking on the phone, and I was playing with the balcony door, and this is like 9:30, almost 10 p.m. And Jiling, I closed the balcony door.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means it doesn't open from outside.
Oh.
That's what it means.
So
It
you
was
locked
one
out.
of these sliding doors that when it reaches the end, it just locks.
Oh, so
automatically.
basically you arrive in an Airbnb, you talk to someone
Within
on the
15
balcony.
minutes, I locked
God,
myself.
Oh lord. Like, what the
And it was like 10 p.m. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm fucked. I'm sleeping. They had a pool outside. I was like, I'm sleeping in this pool. Yeah, but luckily the guy I called and listen to this. Smart me left the key on the door from the inside. So
Perfect.
even with the key from the outside, they couldn't open the door. The guy had to jump from the fence, and they came in and they like jammed the door with a piece of metal, and they opened the door. I felt so ashamed. Within 15 minutes, imagine you get there 15 minutes, you fuck everything up. But luckily he was super nice guy, and everything went out well. The next day I went to the airport. My flight wasn't direct. I had to, because it was cheaper. I flew from Turkey to Berlin, and then from Berlin to Amsterdam.
Yeah, this is when you called me.
Yes. Not yet.
No.
I fly to Berlin. I spend probably around 2-3 hours in the airport. The flight is 1 hour delayed. I'm already pissed because I want to be home as soon as possible. As I was traveling too much, I was 2-3 weeks. I was just traveling, and when I got to the gate to actually board the plane, they're like, "Yeah, you have to pay extra €60 fine because I paid for luggage, but apparently for EasyJet."
You're saying the names like
EasyJet. If you're
don't fly with them.
do not. I swear to God, EasyJet is the worst fucking airline.
I only had bad experiences with those guys.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I paid. In advance. I paid for extra luggage, like €30, and it's called hold luggage. When you tell somebody hold luggage, what does it mean?
Hold it.
Hold it. Exactly. Not for EasyJet. It means that you have to check in your luggage. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
And he showed me like a logo that it was like, this is a check-in logo. It's like, that's just the suitcase with a dot under. How do you say that it's check-in logo? Anyway, I paid the extra €60. 1 hour delayed. I pay extra €60. Pissed. Get onto the plane. Sat for another hour in the plane in a hot weather. Because apparently they were short on crew to load and unload the things, the suitcases. And I was like, dude, we are gonna go out, load and unload the suitcases, just fly this freaking plane to Amsterdam. After 1 hour, they're like, yeah, flight is cancelled.
You were already in the plane. No?
Everybody was on the plane.
Oh god.
And I was just looking in the mirror. I was like, why is this happening? This curse of I'm cursed in a few months for planes. Knock on the wood.
Just don't
I
fly,
need to
man.
get yeah.
It's bad for the environment.
Because also a few months ago in Vienna, I slept through my flight. Anyway, I had to take train back from Berlin. I had to go to Berlin. I freaked out. Talked to Dennis for a while. Thank you for staying on the phone with me. I was really freaked out. And yeah, the next day I took a train, which was 8 hours, never-ending train. And that's how I came back. So this is the beginning and the ending.
So I remember, this is actually super interesting because I remember you calling me.
Yeah.
Or texting me and then calling me, and the energy I got was super pissed and angry and
I barely have this kind
what
of
am I gonna do? And you know, now when you talk about it, you're already much more calm, I have to say. I mean, there's still some frustration I can see.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in that moment, like that moment when we were in touch, when everything was just like, fuck you all, I don't like this, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Like, what was the next thing that happened? How did you come down from there, basically, from that mountain of anger or whatever you may call it? What was that process?
I never came down, honestly.
You're still a bit angry, I can see, but
I
how do you cope with it?
You know how I think it happened? The thing is, I bought my ticket through a third-party agency. And I got an email from EasyJet that you can get a hotel voucher and you can get cancelled and refund or a flight option. But I couldn't get it because I bought it from a third party. And I felt like you're in the middle of 10,000 options, because what do you do now? Do you get a voucher? Do I get a voucher? Do I get another flight tomorrow? Do I get a flight right now and flight back to Amsterdam? Do I get a refund? Do I call somebody in Berlin to stay there? Should I go to Berlin? Should I just go to Dusseldorf and take a Flixbus? Is there a Flixbus from the airport? How to get to Berlin from the airport? All of this were just going through my mind.
Yeah.
And I was on my phone 24/7. I was just typing things. How to get from Berlin airport to Berlin. And what helped was time. That as time was passing by, my options were getting more and more limited.
Okay. Yeah, it was late at night as well.
It was getting late and late and late. I checked the bus. It was in 15 minutes. I was like, okay, I'm not going to take the bus. I'm not going to make it to the bus. Train is half an hour. I'm not going to make it to Berlin Central in half an hour. The plane for the next day was booked. And yeah, I almost didn't know anyone in Berlin. I had some friend, but we were not very close, so I didn't want to bother them. And also it helped that I saw a lot of people with the same problem. Okay. I was on the train going to Berlin Central, and there was a girl, and she was looking for BlaBlaCar, and she was more stressed than I was. She was like, yeah, I have to make it to the birthday party. And we were invited to a birthday party that night of Navid. Yeah. But I told you, as the time was going by, I was like, okay, well, whatever. Even if it's money lost, it's money lost. I still haven't got the money back, by the way. I got the 30 euro that I paid for the whole luggage, but still nothing else. Yeah, I got to the airport, to the Berlin Central, just got a beer. I was like, well, this is it. Got to the hostel. I was like, it's a nice hostel. Just watched people a little bit. I was also tired. And first I was like, should I go out? Because it was a Friday night. Everybody was going out in the hostel. Girls were dressing up and makeup, and somebody was on a bachelor party. I was like, yeah, no, it's just too much. Let's just go to bed.
Hey, but honestly, so what I heard now, like, think what helped you get from that really angry state down was time, seeing other people
accepting that shit happens,
accepting it, and then like also making the best of it. I mean, then like appreciating the hostel, getting a beer, just treating yourself as well in that moment.
Yeah, and also my friend Dennis helped.
Some virtual support.
No, you really did. Otherwise, support. Sometimes in this situation, I like everything goes on at the same time in my mind. And
I've been there as well, and I know in Germany, at least in Germany, I know my way around because I grew up there.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I can be a bit helpful as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting experience.
You would call it.
You're venting here on the podcast. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes. So one thing I wanted to go back to the beginning from your holiday, because you mentioned as well these differences between this like Iranian Dutch way of thinking or planning things versus the just Iranian way of doing it. And I experienced from myself that when I meet with my parents or even with just people who've been together already for a while, and then I'm coming in from another place or from another
with a different energy
indeed. And I think that's also what happened with you, right? I mean, you're arriving in Turkey, and then you're coming with that energy that you carry with you, and then you have your parents and your brother over there, and they live together and they've been traveling together, so that's a different energy. And I know that myself, I often struggle with these type of energies when I'm entering a group, like be it my family, a group of friends or so. I like in the beginning I often struggle to like also
Match the
no, also sometimes I'm not sure, have I changed? Maybe I don't want to match that energy. Maybe I want to carry my own energy, you know. Some things have changed maybe, or maybe I'm not that guy anymore that just adapts to the environment here in this case. I'm also somehow expected to behave in a certain way, the way people know me from the past. Maybe I changed in a certain way and I want to behave differently, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, in general, it's just this thoughts, and yeah, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes for me as well. And I'm wondering, since you haven't seen your family in a year, I can imagine that there was also quite some clash of energies, let's say. How was that for you?
Just let me think about it for a second.
Of course.
I think I wouldn't call it the clash of energy, but for sure our energies were different, especially from at the beginning, because, well, as you said, they live together and I only see them once a year and we live in different environments, so that's already different. And yeah, I remember I was also, when I got to the hotel, I was angry because of all the flight and everything, and they didn't let the taxi that I was in the hotel because you had to check in and they couldn't find my name and it was hot and I just want to see my family. And I got in, I checked in, I was complaining to the what do they call it?
Receptionist?
The receptionist. And I was very mad, and all of a sudden I felt the warmest hug from behind. And first it was a shock, and then my heart kind of warmed up, and I turned back, and it was my mom. And even as I describe it right now, my heart's really warm up.
You can see it, man.
Yeah. And still, for me, that was one of the greatest moments. That after 1 year, I saw her, and that moment. And I forgot about the receptionist and everything. And I turned around to the receptionist and was like, have a good day, bye. And for sure, when we sat down and we had dinner or lunch or whatever, I felt a little bit like an outsider. Because, I don't know, they were talking about things that I was not really connecting, maybe. Or I felt like, okay, what do I talk about that they're interested in? They're not interested in my music festival or necessarily all the things that I do. And they were vibing, and there were moments that I felt like an outsider. That, what am I doing in this? Not what am I doing, why am I not in this cycle? Or why am I thinking about that I'm not? And you know,
so you wanted to be part of that.
Of course you do. And it took time. I remember as more time we spent together and I was more with them, it was more adapted. That we talked about things, I loosened up a little bit. But if you think about it, it's also a shock, huh? After 1 year seeing someone you love, it comes as a shock. That is like, also sometimes comes to me that like, why am I not seeing these people more than once a year? And then you start questioning things, and then your priorities comes, blah blah blah.
Did you think about that while you were together?
I think so. Yeah. I do think about it. And it's a difficult thing to think about. But I think with the priorities that I have now, still I have the right decisions that I made. And over the course of days, our energies matches more, of course. And I see it, and I was very happy that I could see it. That, for example, I'm a much different person than the Soroosh that left 4 years ago, and even from 4 years ago, the Soroosh that left 5 years before that. And I just see the difference. And for me, mostly it's good stuff. Like I look at myself 2 years ago. And now I'm much more capable of doing things that I was not 2 years ago. For me, it's much easier to talk to people. For me, it's much easier to stand for what I want. For me, it's much easier to, if I want something, to really move toward it and imagine where I want to be, at least in the near future. Because in the long run, I don't know. I try to not plan too much. As I said, I'm Dutch a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I know what you're doing. You're surfing in Portugal with me.
That is true. Oh yeah, I actually do know. Not on top of my mind. Now that you said, now that I know
but
what
those things you plan, actually. That's
okay.
Yeah.
But it was a good holiday. I tried to make most of it. I tried to really not be on my phone. Try to encourage them to not be on their phone. Really have conversation with my mom. I was really asking questions about her childhood. That's how was your childhood? Or tell me. I asked her to bring me some pictures from my childhood. She brought the entire album of my childhood picture. That's if you want one day I can show you.
I want to see. Yeah, for sure.
It's quite funny. And yeah, for me that's a very bittersweet and very personal book. And it ignited such emotions. Like, you imagine they put something in front of you and it's your life from the last 27 years. And it's like, woo. It just shakes you down. At least it shakes me down. But I really tried to use most of my time with them. Yeah. We made some great pictures. I tried to take videos of them. Just capture every moment. And yeah, I'm satisfied with that trip. I remember the last day, even though I locked myself in the balcony of that Airbnb, I was very happy. I was very energized when I came back. Even though I was 8 hours in the train, I'm still very happy. And I will still go through all those trains and planes and cancellation and fees and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because I think it's really worth it. And then, especially if you see your family or the loved ones that you have once a year, you really try to sink in and take in that 1 week or a few days that you have. And because your time is limited.
Yeah,
this is all
there then. I mean, just like be in the presence, because that's what matters.
And right? Sometimes I wish we could live life like this. That this is sometimes I do, and it's a big pressure. If you think you're never getting this afternoon back, and what did you decide to do? You decided to run, so you were quite productive. But think about it. And for me, sometimes I think about every second of every day as a moment that you're not getting back. And then I sometimes ask myself, what are you doing in these moments? And it really sometimes helped me prioritize what am I doing. Yeah. But overall, I think it was a very good holiday. I'm looking for the next one with you.
Yes.
I want to try not having our phone there. Try to spend at least a few days offline. And maybe we can also debrief our experience with the followers and the listeners.
We'll talk about the details later, how we're gonna do it. But I think we can spend a week without our phones. Yeah. Without social media, etc.
I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
So let's do that as a commitment. So Soroosh and I, in the 3rd and 4th week of September, for full 7 days, we're not gonna use our phones. Deal?
Well, that's
now I'm already nailing the details in as well.
I'm working on the 2nd week, so the 1st week.
Okay, so the 1st week we're gonna be offline.
At least 3-4 days.
You might see some posts that we schedule on forehand, but we're actually offline. We can debrief that afterwards. We can talk about it.
Yeah, I would love that.
And just try to be more in the moment.
Yeah. Try to make our moments, if you think about it.
And honestly, last time I did this was changes everything. Like your whole perception of things. Like we talked about in the social media episode as well. Feel free to go back to listen to that one, the social dilemma. But we're wasting so much time on these gadgets, and
to be fair to us, we also discussed that they are designed to be addictive.
That's true.
And for me, there should be some regulations that we have to self-regulate ourselves on what we consume and how much we consume. But I think we talked about those on the social dilemma episode. If you're curious to listen more about it, or if you want us to discuss more about it, and maybe even experiment stuff.
Yeah, we're super open to your suggestions as well.
Yeah, let us know.
Cool.
Yes.
And that's a wrap for today.
Yeah, that was what I have been up to mostly for the summer. I hope you enjoyed that episode and took a little bits of pieces of my story and things that I experienced, and it was interesting for you too.
Yeah. And come back for the next episode. This has been Soroosh and Dennis checking out from this episode. I'll stop talking now. See you guys next time.
See you guys later. Bye bye.